Well, one of those bringing that case is Ian Murray, Labour MP for Edinburgh South, and he joins us now. Thanks for talking to us.
Good afternoon.
The Prime Minister suggests that people like you are damaging the chances of getting a deal with Europe. Do you agree with that?
Well, the only person that's damaging any negotiation with Europe is the Prime Minister himself. He was called out earlier this week by Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, by saying that these alternative arrangements don't exist on the island of Ireland, and if they do exist, he's got 30 days to persuade her and the rest of Europe that they can be put in place. He's asking for the impossible and looking for someone else to blame but himself that's got us into this mess.
Well, turning then to events in Edinburgh, why is this exactly happening in Edinburgh? We've got action down in London, we've got action in Edinburgh, we've got action in Belfast. Why do we need this confetti of cases?
Well, actually, it was brought in a court in Scotland purely because the English court system was closed over the month of August, and it was imperative that the court case came forward quickly. It is binding on the government through the Court of Session in Scotland. So there are other legal cases now being taken, as you've reported, by Gina Miller and indeed in Northern Ireland. And we're going to leave no stone unturned to try and stop this undemocratic Prime Minister from suspending Parliament. So the more court cases and the more judgments we can get, the better. You didn't get the interim interdict today. Obviously, we've heard in Lorna's piece that that is all going to come in terms of full arguments on Tuesday. What is the argument that you expect the Prime Minister's side to make? Well, I think firstly we have to thank the judge for what he said today. Yes, we didn't get the interim interdict, which would have given a temporary halt on prorogation, but because the full hearing will be on Tuesday of next week rather than Friday of next week, we should get some kind of result from the judge before Parliament is prorogued next Monday. Now, the key thing here is really what the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, said and was caught on camera saying yesterday. The advice that the government have given to the Queen to prorogue Parliament is not the reason they want to prorogue, and the Defence Secretary said yesterday it was to try and stop MPs from stopping a no-deal Brexit. So the advice, the legal advice that's been given to the Queen to allow the Queen to do her constitutional duty and agree with the prorogation of Parliament has been the wrong advice, and the Privy Council really are unconstitutional and illegal to give the wrong advice to ask for that prorogation.
So just to be very clear, you're saying that the stated intention for the suspension of Parliament is not the real intention, and you're going to ask the judges to determine the inside of the Prime Minister's head and what his real intentions are, whatever he says about them.
Well, actually, given this is a court of law, it would be quite good if the Prime Minister, or indeed the government, as Joanna Cherry mentioned in the short piece you had before this, that he could come to Scotland or indeed sign a legal affidavit to suggest on oath that what the government are trying to do is in the interests of the country, and what they're trying to do is prorogue Parliament in order to just have a Queen's speech. Nobody believes that. He wants to prorogue Parliament in order to stop MPs from having their democratic role and their democratic duty to try and prevent a catastrophic no deal for this country on the 31st of October. The only way he can achieve that is by shutting down Parliament. So we've got 3 days next week, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, to try and get some legislative change in the Withdrawal Act to change the date from the 31st of October and prevent a no deal. We'll use that avenue as well as using all other avenues, of which the court case in Scotland and the other court cases are part of those procedures.
And going back to a point you made a moment ago, do you not think that you're putting the Queen in a very invidious position? Because she's taken the advice, she's acted on it. If you were to succeed next week in the Court of Session, then the point will be one that the Queen acted on unlawful advice. What's she supposed to do next?
Well, the Queen really doesn't have anything to do with this particular court action. The Queen is duty-bound to prorogue Parliament as the head of state, and she does that on the advice she's given by her own government. And if the court case was successful next week, or any of the other court cases were successful that would deem this prorogation unconstitutional or indeed illegal, then the government would be given an instruction and a recommendation to resolve that. Now, it could be the case that we end up proroguing in any case, but we should leave no stone unturned in challenging the Prime Minister. And the great thing about our democracy, and we should cherish this in our democracy, is that ordinary members of the public can use the court system to challenge a government that is out of control in sending this country into a devastating economic spin with a no-deal Brexit, and that's what we're trying to prevent. It's all in the national interest, and if it means that we end up in a situation that our constitution has to change, or indeed we need a written constitution, then so be it. But we cannot allow a Prime Minister to go unchallenged when he's doing something so undemocratic, and the people in the country are horrified that a Prime Minister can do this at a time of national crisis.
Ian Murray, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.